I don't think that there's any real problems in the real world where only one discipline is responsible for solving them, especially something like environmental problems or something like that. Of course, you need to know the science, but you also need to know politics, you need to know history, you need to know, cultural issues that contribute to it.
And in real life, we're not working in isolation, and you don't just go do math at your job necessarily, but you might be working on a project, building something, and you'll need math skills for that, you'll need science skills, and you'll need written and perhaps oral presentation skills.
How do you do that? How do you take an issue and explore it from all these different disciplines? I teach English. I don't teach science. So I can't do it. Or I teach science. I don't teach English. So I can't focus on reading and writing skills. I have to focus on the science skill in order to make sure that there was a place at ECHS for teachers to practice the idea of relevance and interdisciplinary and using the environment. We came up with this idea of what we call intercession.
The theory of intercession is interdisciplinary learning. So we believe that students learn more when they're able to make connections in their learning and apply their learning across disciplines and outside of the classroom.
Intercession is in between first and second semester. It's what we do in January. It started out as a 3-week program, but the teachers realized that really wasn't long enough because we had more to say about our subjects. So it takes place for about a month.
In order to create our intercession program, the teachers start with their standards and skills that they want students to learn, and they try to find connections across the different disciplines, and they'll start planning several months ahead of time because it's really a long process, and it takes a lot of thinking and collaborating.
Teachers spend all of their meeting time working as grade level teams, designing culminating tasks related to certain themes and essential questions.
So they'll start with their standards and skills and values that they want the students to learn. They'll find connections across the disciplines, and then they'll backwards plan. So what is it that we all want students to know and be able to do, and what connections exist between our different disciplines?
In 9th grade, students look at the health and well-being of their community. In 10th grade, they look at what is progress. In 11th grade, they look at the American dream. In 12th grade, they're looking at whether they're powerful and how they can make a difference in the world.
Essential questions are supposed to be thought-provoking. They're not something that can be answered with a yes or no answer. They're the type of questions that students want to keep learning and thinking about for a long time, and teachers as well. We don't want teachers to be bored either. If they're not thinking and exploring their essential questions with the kids, then there's something missing there.
Kids become very engaged in those questions. There's no right answer, which is what's so great about them. There's a performance that goes along with solving that problem, and that performance is what we call a performance task. Some of the performance tasks that occurred during intercession are debates. And so the students do live debates in front of an audience. One of the ones that I've seen and enjoyed watching is the debate about whether plastic and plastic bottles was progress. And it's interesting to hear how plastic bottles can be progress, because there's many people at Environmental Charter High School that do not believe plastic bottles were progress. But plastic solves socioeconomic problems in certain parts of the world. So to watch the kids debate on that issue is interesting.
Our theme was the American Dream, and specifically we were looking at the past, present, and future of the American Dream in Los Angeles.
From English, they did A Raisin in the Sun, and they pulled the themes out of there of the different members of the Younger family. In history, they talked about the factors that brought people to Los Angeles and the development, all the way from the Indians and their paths to the railroads to the Great Migration. In our college prep class, they focused on some of the issues, especially the discontent and the riots of what led to that. and how spoiled dreams led to the unrest that led to the riots. And in math and science, we put together presentations using technology and graphs, actually analyzing data.
We had the kids look at variables associated with achieving the American dream. And the variables that associated with achieving the American dream have traditionally been stuff like wealth, education, job satisfaction, family, friends and family, having a home ownership, things like that. And then I said, well, why do people really want that? What's the ultimate goal that people are looking for in getting these things? What are they really looking for? And that's going to be your dependent variable. And they came up with things like happiness, fulfillment, peace, security, success, things like that. And the reason it's the dependent variable is because we wanted to see if those things, happiness, fulfillment, peace, depend upon income, education, careers. And we had them kind of classify those variables as independent variables. And we saw, is there a connection between these things? Does income really give us the American dream? Does having an education really give people the American dream?
So each person has a perception of the American dream, and each one of them is unique. Even though they achieve it differently, and they want, like, let's say a lot of people want to be wealthy, they're going to achieve it differently, so it's unique. That dream is unique. So, yeah.
For me, I'm most interested in the students becoming intellectually engaged, and that happened. I think it happened on every grade level from what I saw.
We also believe that the American dream, the definition of it changes over time, generally from generation to generation. And today we believe that it means to have options, to be able to choose where we go to school, what our jobs will be, our career, and where we live, rather than being stuck with something. For instance, my mom, when she was younger, she grew up here, but she dropped out of school before she went to high school, and she started cleaning apartments with her mom. And to this day, she's still doing that. She doesn't have the choice to go and be a teacher, a psychologist, or something else if she wants to, because she never went to school, she never finished high school. So basically, we believe that having that option to do what you want with your life is the American dream.
I was really proud of them because they managed to put it all together. They managed to get the American dream and incorporate it with their variable that they were studying. And I thought that was a really hard job. It's really tough to do as an 11th grader. It's really tough to do in high school. They went out into the community, they surveyed people, they got the data, and they put it in a graph, and they determined correlations. I do not remember doing that in high school. I was really proud of them at the end when I saw their final presentations.
You start hearing voices, empowered voices, standing strong behind their, opinions.
I'm trying to point out that in LA, there exists a lack of parenting. There's parents and children are spending way too little time because of the economic trend. Our children are left after school, or their parents put too much stress on the after-school program to parent their kid, and oftentimes their children are spending little time with their parents and spending more time looking at TV screen, computer screen, or listening to music, and they're isolating themselves from their parents due to the result of the economic trend that our parents are put under.
Water is and will always be nature's most exploited resource by mankind. Water is the most basic of all resources. Civilizations grew or withered depending on its availability, said Dr. Nathan Snyder. If we don't take care of it, the city will soon collapse as those others that have failed to take care of the resources. Children of a culture born in a water-rich environment, we have never really learned how important water is to us. We understand it, but we do not respect it.
According to the Australian Government and Water Control, after imposing restrictions, they have seen a 10% increase in water usage. Think what will happen when we restrict water. Do you want to be a part of that?
Obesity is the problem because it can cause diseases such as cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and it can even lead to death.
1 in 5 adults in Los Angeles County are obese. 26% of poor youth are overweight or obese.
These presentations today showed that these kids really align themselves with their cause. Some of them really want to actually go beyond intersection in dealing with the particular organizations and the causes. And that was just great to see, because that was confirmation to me that, hey, this intersection thing really works.